Hi everybody, it's David Porter, and today I have a rather grim topic that I want to discuss, and that is the best option, some of the best options for response to an active shooter. You're at work, in your office or factory or at school, you're in a supermarket, you are at an event, and you hear pop, 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 pop. What do? First, learn what gunfire sounds like. If you are not a shooter or a hunter, if you have never been to a shooting range, go to a shooting range and just listen to what gunfire sounds like. At the Sandy Hook, reading the accounts of that, when the shooter came into the building, and I refuse to use the name of that thing, when it came into the building and opened fire, some of the teachers went to look and see what the noise was. By doing that, they put themselves right in the shooter's sights, and they delayed warning, they delayed evacuation. If you hear something that you think is gunfire, do not go toward the source unless it is your job, unless you are a police officer or an armed civilian who has decided to intervene. You do not go toward the source of the gunfire. Learn what gunfire sounds like, and then if you hear it, go any direction you want except for the direction where the gunfire is coming from. Let's say you're in a building, a commercial building, you're in your workplace, and you hear, and very likely a handgun is going to be pop, pop, pop. It's going to be a series of loud pops. A small caliber firearm, such as a .22, is going to have a different sound. It's going to be more of a cracking sound. A large caliber rifle is going to be a more thunderous report. It's going to be a kind of a thud noise. Learn what gunfire sounds like. So you're in a building and you hear gunfire. Your priority is to evacuate. Get out. Find the nearest exit and get out as fast as you can. Get as far away from the building as you can. You really want to think long and hard if your workplace has a dictum of locking down. Locking down is, generally speaking, a terrible idea. It is the worst response. Unless you are behind 3-foot thick concrete walls and inch thick steel doors, you have just pasted yourself onto a bullseye. A shooter who is very determined and or indifferent is going to force open doors. They are going to fire through walls, and very likely in your most workplaces the walls are going to be drywall, gypsum board, which is not going to protect you even from a small caliber round like a .22. Try this. Go to a Home Depot or Lowe's and get some scraps of drywall and bring it to a shooting range and punch it with whatever you have. A .22 will go right through 9mm, 40 caliber, .357. It's going to punch right through it. It'll punch right through multiple layers. The walls of most buildings, internal walls of most buildings, are not going to be able to stop a round. You want to get out. That's your highest priority. Get out. Leave your stuff behind. Your laptop, your lunch, I hate to say this, but even your coffee. Even your coffee. Leave it behind. Get out of the building. Excuse me. I'm going to have a sip of my delicious peanut butter chocolate smoothie. Ah, so good. So, your priority is to get out of the building. Leave your stuff behind. Get as far away as you can. If you can't get far away, look for something solid and thick to protect you. A thick concrete wall, an industrial air conditioning unit, something that very likely will stop around. On the way out, take anyone with you that you can. Yell, active shooter, evacuate, keep it short and simple. Now here is a problem. Most people are going to freeze. Most untrained civilians are going to freeze, and they're going to ask, what's going on? What's happening? And that is a normal, natural reaction in situations which are stressful and ambiguous. Because under most conditions, if you ask what's happening, you're going to get information which is going to dial down your anxiety level. This is not the time for that. Ask as many questions as you want later when the situation is contained and you are far away. Ask all the questions you want. But right now, you can't ask questions. If you ask questions or slow down or hesitate, it could get you killed. It could get other people killed. If someone says, evacuate, active shooter, gunman in the building, you don't ask questions. Don't ask what's going on. Don't look around. You locate the nearest exit and get out. Now, of course, there are caveats. If the shooter, you don't want to, one more time, you don't want to walk towards the sound of gunfire. If you can determine where the shooter is, your building has cameras, or it's a small building, it's very obvious where the shooter is, go in the opposite direction. Get out by the nearest exit. Now, here's some other complications. When you get out, law enforcement may already be on the scene. You don't want to get mistaken for one of the bad guys. Put your hands on your head. If you raise your hands, this is an important detail. Fingers spread. Spread your fingers apart as wide as you can. You want to make sure your hands are in sight. Do not drop your hands below your chest. Do not reach for anything. Law enforcement is not going to know who you are, and they may be very quick on the trigger. It would be a terrible irony if you escaped an active shooter only to get shot by the cops on the way out of the building. Keep your hands on your head. Keep your hands in sight. If you raise your hands, keep your fingers spread apart. Do whatever the cops tell you. If someone is pointing a weapon at you, telling you to lay down, to freeze, to lay down on the ground, to get down on your knees, do what they tell you so you do not get shot. They will have to sort out who the gunman is versus who are the employees, customers in the building, clients, whoever, bystanders. They'll sort all that out. But right now, it's going to be a high-tension, adrenal stress situation for everyone. Don't get shot by accident. If you cannot get out, if it's not possible for you to get out, then you're going to have to go with plan B, which is to shelter in place. It is a terrible idea, and what you ideally want to do is don't let yourself get backed into a corner, and also I want to back up for a second. As far as evacuating, beware of choke points. Narrow areas where a lot of people are going to all try to get out at the same time. You're going to get in each other's way. Stairwells, doorways, narrow hallways. Be aware of choke points. And everybody, before you need to worry about anything like this, think about the buildings that you work in, the building you work in, or the buildings you frequent, and know the layout. Know where all the exits are. Know where the lines of sight are. Know where cover is. That is a object which is thick enough, hard enough, heavy enough where it likely will stop a bullet. Know where concealment is. This is hiding behind something which will not stop a bullet, or at least will probably not stop a bullet, but it'll hide you where the gunman will be able to see you. So you want to pick a hiding place, if possible, that's going to allow rapid egress. You're not just going to sit there. You're going to be looking for an opportunity to go to step 1, which is to evacuate. Step 3 is a desperate, nothing to lose option. You got to remember something. Active shooters are not there to take hostages. They are not there to rob you. They are not there to issue demands. They are there to kill people. If they were there to rob you, it's a completely different story, because what they're really doing is offering you a contract. Give me your money or I'll shoot you. This is easy. Give them your money. They'll go away. That's an armed robbery. In a hostage situation, typically a gunman is going to be taking hostages for a ransom or to have their demands aired, and there's room for negotiation. They're not there to kill people, although that absolutely is on the list, on near the top of the list. That's not their primary reason. You want to realize that a active shooter is there for one reason: to kill people, either indiscriminately or target specific individuals. You need to get out of there. If you can't get out, you need to hide until you can get out. Option 3 is fighting. This may or may not turn out well. The best option is if you have your own firearm and you've been trained to use it and you are willing to engage the gunman with lethal force. Other options are makeshift weapons. Some of this stuff would just be comical if it weren't so serious. I saw this school where it was on YouTube, on the news, whatever, where they had buckets of rocks in the classroom, throw rocks at the gunman. Are you fucking serious? Rocks are no longer used in warfare for a reason. They tend to be highly ineffective compared to firearms. Okay, when was the last time you saw an army of rock throwers? Maybe like 100,000 years ago. And even then they realized this is not a good option. Let's use a spear, and then let's develop a bow and arrow. There are much better options. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Or a can of Raid. I saw something which is really, really bad advice. Again, on a news channel, where they're keeping cans of Raid or Black Flag, other pesticide in the classroom, and the idea is of when the gunman comes in, you hose him down, and the one person said this will stop someone instantly. No, it won't. It will not. It absolutely will not. Go on YouTube and Google people hosing each other down with bug spray, and you'll see, while it hurts, it is got to taste terrible and smell awful, and it's a highly unpleasant experience. They are not incapacitated for a simple reason. Bug spray is very good as a weapon if you are being attacked by wasps and hornets. Don't bother spraying somebody down with it. I mean, yes, if that's all there is, it's better than nothing. It's going to be a distraction, but don't count on it incapacitating someone or stopping someone. One more time, in my opinion, the best solution is you have your own firearm, you have been trained to use it, you practice regularly, you practice specifically for scenarios like an active shooter, you have designated individuals within a workplace who are armed or rapid access to weapons, and when the shooter comes in, you engage them with whatever force is necessary until they are no longer a threat. That's my opinion. I think teachers should be armed, or at least principals and school administrators. You put a sign up in front of the building, warning, staff are armed and trained. Any threat to our children will be met with lethal force. Warning, designated employees in this workplace are armed and trained. Any attempt to harm the people in this building will be met with deadly force. That's going to be a whole lot fucking more effective than these pathetic, idiotic, no guns allowed signs. The fuck do you think is going to happen? An active shooter is going to see that sign that said no guns allowed, and they're going to turn around and go home? The people who think that putting those signs up is a good idea need to get a clue. They need to wake up to certain realities. Yeah, I'm ranting. This shit pisses me off. Okay. I think that's all I have to say on this topic. Everyone, thank you for watching. Please be safe and please hit subscribe.